When there was still a hot debate on the very existence of global warming, a surprising organization weighed in to warn us of its reality and consequences. Here's a hint. It wasn't Greenpeace. It was the American Academy of Actuaries. Never heard of them? Well, we're going to clue you in on this organization, which assists public policymakers on all levels by providing leadership, objective expertise, and advice on risk and financial security issues. They assess the facts outside of any political consideration. They kind of tell it like it is. Just as they sounded the alarm on global warming, they're giving us a heads up on the impact of America's aging baby boomers that has implications for all of us, young and old. We have with us on the line Donald Fuerst, Senior Pension Fellow for the American Academy of Actuaries. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Loraine. It's good to be with you.
Well, tell us a little bit about some of the concerns that the American Academy of Actuaries has. You actually went so far as to put out a release and encourage the president to address these issues in his last State of the Union address. What are some of your top concerns?
Well, the top concerns are obviously some of the aging programs like Social Security and Medicare. Both of those programs are in desperate need of reform and change so that they will be viable on a long-term basis. They aren't the only issues, though. There's many other aspects of aging that's becoming important.
Well, let's talk a little bit about that. We certainly are an aging population. The baby boomers are becoming seniors now, and many of them are having to deal with the issues of long-term care, medical expenses, medical issues, end-of-life issues. What are some of the issues that you see as being very critical related to that?
One of the big changes that's taken place over the past 30 years is that retirement plans have moved from programs that provided a lifetime income to people instead to programs that accumulate wealth for people until retirement. And the big challenge that many people are going to be faced with in the future is taking that wealth that they've accumulated and turning that into an income that lasts for their lifetime. The big problem there is that the lifetime is uncertain. People don't know how long they're going to live, and they don't know what rate of return they'll be able to get on their investments. So it's very difficult to plan to make that accumulated wealth last for your lifetime.
Well, that is the challenge. How do you see government being a part of addressing that issue?
There's several different ways that government can help. One, as I mentioned at the very beginning, would be making sure that Social Security program is solvent in the long term. Social Security represents a substantial income for many Americans, and it's about the only income that you'll have that will have automatic cost of living increases built into it. So that's very important for that to be stable. The other ways, though, they can work at encouraging ways in which retirees can convert that accumulated wealth into something that lasts a lifetime. One of the things that the government did just very recently, they adopted some regulations that encourage the use of what we call longevity annuities. These are annuities that commence at some point in the relatively distant future. So, for instance, a 65-year-old retiree might buy a longevity annuity that doesn't start paying benefits until age 80 or 85. The advantage of something like that is that it is much less expensive than buying an annuity that starts immediately. So you can protect yourself more against that risk that you'll live a really long time. And then you can use the rest of your funds to plan how much you can spend for a known period of time until that longevity annuity starts.
I'd like to address the issue of Social Security. If we do nothing right now, what's going to happen? Will Social Security run out of money?
If we do nothing on the Social Security issue, there's two things that will happen. One is relatively soon. By the end of next year, 2016, the Disability Trust Fund will run out of adequate money, and they would only be able to pay about 80% of the benefits that are due to people. Several short-term fixes have been proposed for the disability fund. The old age fund that pays the retirement benefits to people, as it's currently working, the projections are that it'll have enough money to pay benefits until the year 2033. But at that time, it would only be able to pay about 75% of the benefits that are due to people in the future, unless Congress takes some action. And the sooner they take that action, the more different alternatives they have and the less severe any changes would have to be.
Does the American Academy of Actuaries have any particular policy suggestions that a Congress and the president could act on, or are you simply encouraging them to really address this issue in a serious way?
We're encouraging them to address it in a very serious way, and we have made one particular suggestion of how that change could take place, and that's related to the full retirement age. As Americans are living longer and longer, we think we have to recognize that part of that additional lifetime should be spent in working years. So we do think that the full retirement age for benefits should be raised somewhat, but that doesn't correct the whole problem. That can only correct a part of the problem. The other part of the problem has to be solved with either increased taxes or decreased benefits in the future. And that's a very difficult decision that Congress has to weigh, how to balance those two changes.
I guess the challenge is that now we enter into the crazy realm of politics, and whether or not anyone is willing to, number one, raise taxes, or number two, face the wrath of the American public with less benefits.
Yes, it's a very difficult problem. I doubt that benefits would ever actually be reduced in an absolute way. What they probably would do would be slow the growth of future benefits so that they continue to grow, but perhaps not as quickly as they do under current law. On the taxation, it's interesting to note that just last year, a 2% increase in the Social Security taxes that didn't seem to cause a big problem for anyone. The payroll tax had been reduced by 2% for 2 years, and then that was suspended and it went back to the original level, and it didn't cause much of a problem. So some people point to that and say it would be acceptable to raise that tax modestly.
Well, I want to thank you so much for raising our awareness about the issues that are facing this country regarding pensions and the aging population and the impact that it's going to have. Donald Fuerst, Senior Pension Fellow from the American Academy of Actuaries. And I have to say it now, and I'll say it again, actuaries are where it's at when it comes to having cold, hard facts and making very specific and clear predictions about the impact of a lot of very large issues on our world. And I want to thank you so much for the work that you guys do, and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Loraine. It was a pleasure to be with you.
I'm Loraine Ballard Morrill.